So next point. One of the things I'm excited about, the change to monstrosities. Primarily, I mean, the fact that they now are like just ridiculously grotesque beasts of pain. So you beat them and they generate energy somehow. But also that they get to hold on to it for longer than a turn, I think has some interesting implications in terms of how War Machine works.
Yeah.
And it costs them something in health, right? So it's actually what I'd like to see more of, in that there's a significant differentiation between this army and like another Warjack oriented army.
Well, we were talking about that in angles like the focus amount. Like if like Signar gets more focus per Jack, like that's another way. Like I agree, it's cool that it's a differentiation. I don't think that. Like, I think those two separate rules are going to have different impacts, because, like, if you have a caster that can just start dumping focus into his monstrosities, you don't need to hurt them.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if you have a bunch of Cephalix units that are like, I'm going to prod you, like...
Well, I wonder if you can still...
Because it gave the impression that you can't actually...
Well, they said they don't get power up.
Right.
They don't get power up.
You might be still give them focus.
It doesn't say whether or not you can allocate focus to...
Yeah. So I imagine then
the assumption
that
would be
implies
that
they still can.
That would be my
just don't get power
too,
up.
yeah.
So interesting. I mean, like, even if they are just focus batteries in the first couple turns, they're not typically spending all your focus for stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that just means that you sort of have like a hordes-like scenario where you can load them all up for one big turn. Although then it also opens up an angle of like focus depleting attacks matter more.
Yeah.
Because then, like, hey, P-Iris, fucking, you can't use that guy's focus. Like,
well, and also...
although whether or not they'll still have those abilities.
Sure, yeah.
Also, the thing is, if you load up, like, let's say you've got, as an example, 5 heavies, and you load them all up with focus, and you don't use all of that focus, like, by the end of the game, you have been less efficient than if you had done something else.
Definitely, yeah.
So that's going to be some risk.
So there is a risk component there, although how significant that is, I don't know.
Yeah, that seems really minor, but it can be there.
So that I think it just adds an interesting dynamic to a faction that otherwise was kind of like, it's Crix-ish. Right? Like, it wasn't... To me, the faction as a whole was kind of blasé, kind of like, whatever.
Privateer, if you don't make a Cephalix monstrosity that explodes for damage based on the amount of focus it has on it, I'm fucking disappointed with you and you should hire me.
So, I mean, yeah, like, it opens up some really interesting avenues of, like, why Cephalix might be a thing somebody might care about more than, like... Because the thing is, right now, it's like, why play Cephalix when you can play Crix?
They're completely different. What are you talking about?
Oh, come on.
No, seriously, they're completely different.
Yeah, Cephalix is Crix with 1 Warcaster. Like,
no.
Two. Sorry.
Crix doesn't care about Warjacks for the most part right now. Cephalix seems to care more about that shit.
Okay, so they're the Care Bear Crix.
No, I don't mean, like, care is in,
yes,
like...
I know. I get it.
Fucking stab me.
Cephalix just love everybody.
So the thing is, like,
they want to make them better.
This rules change by itself has changed my perception from, like, a faction I really don't care about at all to something I'm legitimately interested in playing. Like, it's
something that's what Scorn should have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's no...
Scorn's Enrage works just fine for the pain thing.
And then, Convergence, I mean, to me, seems very similar to how they already work.
No.
But different, right? Like,
no.
They're more...
No, man. No. Like, Convergence's rule of what they already have is basically what Power Up is. And also, because it's like, when they use the focus, you can have this one guy charge, and then his focus goes over here, and then you can have them charge, and whatever. You can still do that, but you're not making full use of the rule in that case, because, like, if he charges more out of the 6 inches, the rest of the focus he spends is going to be wasted.
Yeah.
Whereas, potentially, you can now have, like a gun line almost, where you put 3 focus on 1 Jack, and then you're like, shoot, boost shot, boost damage. Or like even 2, like, if you have like 1 ranged weapon on each Warjack, you will fully power a gun line off of 2 focus.
That's true, and that's a really good point. I mean, I think it's a stronger rule, but at the same time, because you don't have...
It's potentially stronger, but you have to play into it.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. I think that makes Convergence a lot cooler, because it's like, okay, now you don't just, like, you always had to play into it a little bit, but it was kind of like, okay, it's kind of whatever, like, it's 1 focus, who gives a shit? Now it's like, this changes the way you play the faction.
Yeah.
Like, if you, it's a huge, this is a skill, opposed to pre-measuring, which is not really integral to the game. This is a skill that is integral to the decision you make within the game, that differentiates good players, convergent players from great convergence players.
That's true.
That's
I agree
fantastic.
with that. I hope that...
sorry, I don't mean to dig. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, and I don't mean to dig you more for the pre-measuring thing. Because you can pre-measure, you won't be fucked on that with the 6 inches.
I'd like to see them. I want to see them do more with the pre-existing, like the I guess the legacy armies, like Signar, Crix,
What are you calling them legacy for?
because they're the originals.
Core factions of the game.
They're originals. I mean, they're
Sure.
I hope that they are differentiated in some way.
I do too.
When they first started out, they had like 3 casters and like 3 jacks or something, and they had very strong flavor for those. But as the game has gotten more and more stuff, they're like, well, what does this faction not have? This. Well, that's exactly what this faction does. So now there's a little bit less difference. It's gotten more and more and more. There's less and less difference.
I think this is a great opportunity to add more of those stylized differences.
Yeah, I would love to see. Like if Cowder was like, we run 2 stupidly expensive fuck you jacks, and Signar runs a bunch of lighter ones.
Or like a bunch
Every
of
time you say that, I feel like slitting your wrists.
That said, though, you have to have some homogenization, right?
You have,
the problem comes in is that if you don't, what ends up happening is you get a very extreme game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. They used to be like Scorn had, or like Signar would bring. They had really good guns. If any other faction wanted to bring guns, they couldn't do it as well.
Yeah.
Well, so
they still had range options.
So I think that it's okay that like Signar can have the best guns.
Yeah, I think that's.
But I think more what Dan was saying is what we're talking about, like the AOE. Like there were problems with high defense infantry. So I think that it's important that every faction be able to deal with certain problems.
Yes. Tools.
Problem is now just too easy.
Sure, I don't care that it's too easy. I care that it might be too ubiquitous.
Yeah,
that's what and I also care more that like each faction can be able to do it in different ways.
Yeah.
Like for example, you can have one faction that's really good at doing it with sprays, one faction that's really good at doing it with like traditional AOEs, like mortar shells and shit like that.
And then see now we're there. I just do
lightning,
like
exactly. Like you can have different ways of doing that. And that's really cool. That's a way of differentiating things. I like also again with the warjacks too. Like I think that between the induction nodes being super different and like that rumor about focus values maybe on warjacks and having different focus maximums, that can make a really cool differentiation point. So I think it's important that every faction has access to certain tools, but the way that they get every faction has access to different solutions, but the way they do those, the way they execute those solutions can be completely different and differentiate the factions to an awesome.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, then the big thing is like they have the opportunity to launch with that, and I hope that that's the route that they took. I think that what I suspect will happen is they will have done that partially. Like, I don't think they're going to go full on like redefining what each faction is and means and feels and stuff.
I don't think they need to redefine what they are conceptually. I think they need to redefine them in gameplay terms.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to do...
Because conceptually, most of the concepts are already there, actually. It's just a matter of implementing them better.
I fully expect half measures. And maybe I'm wrong. But I'd rather a half measure than no measure. So, I mean, there's that.
I think you're probably right, because let's be honest, balancing becomes an issue. Like, it's a lot more difficulty in balancing things when you're actually going that extreme, right?
That's true. And I mean,
you have to claw it back and scale it back to be able to actually create something, especially when you're talking about there's like close to 400 different types of models.
Well, I mean that's true, but at the same time we have
a lot of
as the consumer we have the luxury of just making demands, and like we don't have to be accountable for them.
Fix this problem. I have this idea that I don't do play test. Make it happen.
An interesting solution that they could choose to use is they could choose to have like merc and minion units that do sort of more generalist jobs and have them available to most, if not all, factions.
Yeah.
Like they could have your steelhead halberdiers be your shitty carpet unit, and
like with spears,
have access. Like basically, have all War Machine factions have access. Maybe not all Hordes factions. You give the Hordes factions some other different variant of spear guys if you feel like it, and then you could have your more particular differentiated in-faction guys.
Yeah. I mean, part of me kind of, and I realize that wouldn't be fair to people who purchase these models, but part of me kind of wishes that what they would have done is trim down some of the excess models. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's very similar to other things that you're do we really need
They could have done that as long as they gave you, proxy rules. So like if
Yeah.
if your
This
Cossai
unit can
Woodsmen
be
are
used as this unit.
But the thing is, at the same time, like I think there's a lot of units that are really conceptually interesting that just don't get picked because something else does their job better because they do the same job for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Like you have, the Menoth situation of you have like shitloads of infantry to choose from if you want to tarp it. You have like your bastions, you have your exemplar errants, you have your zealots, you have Temple Flame Guard. Like bastions are differentiated because they're like larger based, so no one takes them because, well, I don't know if no one takes them. But then you have like your zealots and your errants, which basically just do kind of the same thing in different ways. Like they're painful to kill because you can't kill them the way you want to kill them, but they just do that in a slightly different way. Like the zealots should be the more self-destructive, ridiculous. Like we're gonna blow you up with ourselves. Like, and they do, except for their mini feat, which makes them that whole denial unit.
Yeah.
So if they just separate those things out. So like the errants can still have that self-sacrifice. Give the zealots something else, so like they're not a target unit because they don't feel like they should be one.
Mm-hmm.
Give the flame guard like shield wall kind of sucks right now because it slows you down so much, and because being in that close proximity means that blasts and sprays hurt you a lot.
Yes.
So like it makes shield guard not terrible. So make shield guard its own thing, or shield wall rather. Make that like a meaningfully different target choice than errants, like because the errants are easier to kill individually, but then you don't kill the right one.
So just to make a point, this is kind of leading into the final portion of what we're going to talk about, which is kind of our wish lists for Mark III. And we've kind of discussed some of the stuff, but this is just a good point to mention that because we're already kind of there. But yeah, I agree. Because actually one thing we were talking about, and we kind of disagreed a little bit on the specifics of it, but one thing that I would not be unhappy to see is if everything, especially Warjacks, were field allowance 1. And the reason why that is because it would force people into having to choose a variety of things rather than just spam a thing. And then the way that you could look at a spammy list might be like a tier list that allows you to take a second unit of something. And this way you kind of reduce I'm just going to take only these things, and like the Doom Reaper spam list, where you're like, I'll just take 5.
That is a tier list.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
You don't take like Doom Reapers are FA2 normally, and you don't take like that's a tier list.
But in that case, then you have there would be a reason to having units that have a functionally similar role, because you may want to take a second unit that is kind of similar but different in some ways.
I disagree.
Fair.
I think that it's I think that it's more important that the units be differentiated and that you can take I don't actually like spamming things. Like I recognize that it's powerful, like in certain cases, like the 30 Bane Knights, Peace Star, or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's all die. But like I think it's really cool to have multiple different units do different things completely. I don't think that different models within the same faction should have similar purposes at all. Like, if possible. So what I was saying is like earlier is my wish list is give every unit in the fucking game the Warcaster treatment, not necessarily give them each a unique ability or rule, because that would be crazy.
Well, then you're playing Malifaux with armies.
Yes. So, but like, within each faction at least, start splitting things out and making them do distinct things within the faction, and then you can control each faction's access to things in proportional sense. Like, you can still have, multiple factions can have stealth units or be like...
I guess I just don't want them to fall into the trap of, based on balance, this one thing being strictly better than everything else, and we just take the shit out of it.
And I agree. Like, I don't think you should be... Like, I think field allowance is still important. I just don't think it necessarily has to be one.
Or another thing that a way to tackle that problem, so to speak, might be nice to be like, okay, well, errants have a buff when run with bastions, as an example. Where it's like, there's
cool.
unit synergy.
That's actually, like, I totally agree. That's really cool. I don't know that... Like, the thing is, they have to introduce a lot of specific cases of that for it to be relevant. I think that, like, there could be rules. They should clean up the line of sight rules. They should make it so, like, they could make it, like, in a general sense, say instead, your small-based infantry can shoot through your medium-based infantry.
Sure.
Then that gives you a reason to take, or vice versa. Like, that gives you a reason to take, like, this version over this. Like so, like in the Bastions example, or like let's say Scorn in like the Fist of Halak brick list, because that's something that actually does get taken. You have like your Citrati, and like say that the tier list was expanded and you didn't have to take the exact same things. And also say that, this is a lot of suppositions, but say that Xerxes also didn't give you the inherent ability to just shoot through your own guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could give like, okay, so we're going to take Venator Reavers, who can shoot through the big guys in the front, or reverse it, be like, we're going to take, Incendiari, and then have them shoot through the Carracks. Yeah, exactly. So like, you could put things in the game like that give you inherent advantages or disadvantages based on base size. Whereas right now it's just kind of like line of sight in certain circumstances, and the line of sight rules are really fucky, so I hope they synergize those. Because the whole, like, I can see the bigger guy over the smaller guys, but he can't see me back.
Yeah.
Fucking
that's silly.
That's so dumb.
One thing I think they really need to clean up is magical weapons that don't have magical attacks. Magical attacks are a different thing.
The thing is, I understand that completely, and I know that it's
but it's
counterintuitive. It's super dumb, because magical attacks are spells.
Yes.
Like, that's what it is.
But, like, then you have, like, ranged attacks.
Yeah.
That are magical attacks.
Yes, because
but a ranged magical weapon isn't a magical attack.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not a ranged magical attack.
It's super counterintuitive and dumb.
Yeah.
So, I agree they need to clean
They
that
just need to find a new phrase for magical weapon.
So, yeah, I mean, like...
Or just stop using the phrase magical attack, just say, like, spells.
Yeah.
Even like, more specific than those generalized rules, like, something like... Again, I'm going to go back to Bastions and Incinerators. If you run them both in tandem, Incinerators get to benefit from the blood sharing thing, for example.
Sure, and again,
I'm not talking balance-wise.
That's super cool. I agree with that. Like that would be super cool. But that's just a lot of rules baggage on top of like.
Yeah.
And actually, I feel like Menoth is the faction where that makes the most sense to give you individual benefits.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're this synergy faction. They're like, let's all pray to Menoth.
Or another thing, like let's look at another thing would be like, let's look at Scorn. Well, maybe different types of war beasts react differently to pain givers. So, for example, if you have like the crazy, I forget they're called, like the scarab bug things.
The Erratus.
Maybe when you poke them with stuff, their venom becomes more virulent, or something changes with them that's not the same as everybody else.
And again, this is something that you could do like on a faction level. So like you can make like enrage, you can make enrage a keyword and be like, when this beast is enraged, blah.
Yeah.
Like you could do stuff like that. That'd be really cool.
So like
I think that's an individual model level.
But
yeah, also is that actually introducing too much rules bloat too, right? Because at that point, do I have to remember now, like especially with like the whips, the pain givers you're talking about? It's like, oh yeah, I hit the pain giver on this guy. What is it? What is the one that they get basically?
I would like to see the rules complexity be on the model level, not in the core game systems level. So similar to Malifaux, where the rule system is very straightforward, to me anyway, and very concise and very understandable. But on a per model level, things get complicated. Well, expand that idea to units of things, not necessarily on a per model level, specifically, but like
the
on
rules
a per unit.
On Malifaux works because you're only dealing with like 12 models.
Yeah,
if you're dealing with like 30 to 40 models,
that's why I'm saying not on a per model unit, but like if you consider each unit as a thing. Well, you only have, like, maybe 10 different things on a field.
Yeah.
So, to do it that way, I think would make more sense.
Like, generally speaking, though, I disagree, because, like, I feel like it's better to have the rules complexity. Like, obviously each unit should do their own thing. They should have a purpose. But I feel like it makes more sense to have inherent rules synergies at a game level, because that way, like, and not too many of them, but, like, just a couple of, like, neat things. And... Because if you do that on a game systems level, then everyone knows it becomes common rule. Instead of having to like look up every individual model for what they do. Especially if the synergies aren't portrayed on both cards.
Yes.
So like if you have the Bastions and Incinerators example, you have to write that rule on both cards. And you have to write it out in full. Because otherwise, you're looking at one card and you forget to look at the other one.
Or, I mean, the thing is, it could be just contained within tier lists.
Sure,
but the thing is that's already like a place that adds complexity that is outside of the core systems and the individual models.
Yeah, on a tier list, if we're going to go to wish listing, I really wish they came out with a card for tier lists. So basically you could actually just refer to the summary instead of having to keep on going back into the fucking book.
That's fair.
War Room does that.
I know it does, but what I'm saying is, is that it's
I agree.
Even with War Room, sometimes you just don't even think
Yeah.
about reopening the
you
card to
forget about the
actually.
benefit,
So it'd be nice to actually just have a card
Yes.
just sitting there, basically.
I agree.
That
So let's I guess let's do this one by one. What are the very top things that you kind of hope that they do in Mark III as opposed to Mark II?
We're starting with me.
I'm gonna start with you.
Okay, so real talk. Pikaya, not garbage. Real talk. Mana Wars of every type need to be the most broken fucking models in the game. Like, heinously overpowered. Ridiculous bullshit. I don't care if KO wins everything forever because of Mana Wars being broken as shit. Real talk. That thing I said about all units being differentiated and, like, having a reason to take Unit A over Unit B.
Okay, fair enough.
And also, fucking, for real though, Kaya, please make her not terrible.
Well, I think with giving every Warlock or Warcaster a purpose, I think that she's probably going to be one of the ones that was looked at initially.
Yeah, but I mean, like, her purpose right now is be dog shit. So, like, if they give her an ability that says your opponent wins the game if they flip a coin right, that's technically still making her unique.
To be fair though, I mean, she did come with 2 Argus, and I mean that.
Yeah, I know. So, like, she's actually just their poop made into a model. Like,
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I mean, I understand that they needed to tweak her from Mark 1, but, like, nerfing into Oblivion isn't a tweak.
The other thing, like, with Pikaya specifically is, like, when I first started playing, I read her wrong, like, all the time.
Very confusing.
Because her unique thing is Spirit Door, which is, like 80 words,
Well,
and you miss things in it.
Even when we went to play her again, because I'm like...
Yeah, I cheated like a motherfucker.
The reason why we went to play Pikai again was because we were both looking at, well, when was the last time we had a Pikai game? I don't remember. Maybe she's not actually as bad as we remember. Like, maybe we just...
Incorrect.
Maybe we misunderstood.
And I thought we were super right, because I cheated really hard without trying to. So I'm like, I'm gonna blink up here, and then blink this beast here, and then blink this beast, and then blink it over here, and then kill you on the top of turn 2. And it's like, wow, Pikai is great, except I can't do that. That's totally against the fucking rules. I just missed it reading the card.
Well, that's the thing. Like, when it happened, I'm like, well, that feels really...
fucking awful?
Like, exactly. Like,
It was terrible.
And then we read it again, and we're like, oh, you just can't do that.
It's just, I actually just cheated, and I didn't realize
it's just not a thing you can do. But yeah, I mean, like, especially it being, I mean, obviously this has changed with the new battle boxes, but with her having been in the battle box, in the 2-player starter box, like, as a lot of people's first interaction to the werewolf cool faction.
Yeah.
That's what you get?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to add something to my wish list. The new Circle Caster, please also make her not dog shit. Like,
I think all of the starter casters should be decent. Like, they should, give somebody a good play
they're
experience.
also all pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know what they do. So.
I know, but they look pretty cool.
They do look pretty cool.
Whenever I look at the whip guy,
Is it whip guy? I thought it was a whip chick.
Maybe whip chick, I don't know. Either way, the whip person looks awesome
The whip person.
for a second, and then you realize it's the wacky inflatable tube man, and it'll never go
really,
away.
Once you look at it again, after think about it,
look at because every time it's posted on this Scorn Facebook page or something, someone will post the wacky inflatable tube man, and it's like it's perfect. Like it's just like it's just the wacky look
cannot be unseen.
It's so funny.
I'm okay with this just because I don't like Scorn.
I think this person looks really good, but I also think it looks very much like a wacky inflatable tube man.
So Dan, being somebody who will probably fall back into the game because we'll make you.
Because you don't get a choice.
What are your, based on your interaction with Mark II and the things that you didn't like with it, what do you think, or do you hope Mark III kind of accomplishes?
See, you guys actually talk about adding a lot more complexity. I'd like to see a little bit more simplicity.
Okay.
I'd like to see a lot easier to identify the gotchas.
So,
because the problem comes in right now is that as a player, a casual, what ends up happening is I play it maybe once a month and a half, once every 2 months, once every 3 months, once every 5 months.
mm-hmm.
Every single time I'm getting back in, I'm getting curb stomped by somebody because it's some other trick, basically, that I was unaware of. And that is the part that's really rough about this game, and makes it not new player friendly.
I think part of the thing though is you need to play against somebody who recognizes that you're a newer player and then can talk you through what they're doing and why.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think that
But
discussion needs to happen.
I actually played a lot with people like Trent and stuff that are totally accommodating like that, and that the problem comes in is when you're playing it so little in between games. By the time you actually get back to it, you've completely forgotten it all over again.
See,
and you're falling for the exact same trick.
I actually totally agree with you in terms of trimming some complexity. What I told Steve a while ago is like I feel like they should strive for the most depth possible with the least complexity possible.
Yeah.
Because you want to have cool like gameplay interactions, cool choices to be made. But like there's a lot of rules right now where it's like, what the fuck does it mean box disabled? Where the fuck does that stop? What the hell's going on? Why is there why was there an infinite loop with Moloch Karn? Because that was stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole bunch of just dumbass shit that, like, should not exist. And, like, there's a lot of little things, too, that, like, you know, within versus completely within. So, you go, like, I place this within 8 inches, so it's actually, like, front to back, which is, like, 10 and a half inches on the head. Like, stuff like that. Like, that, it's just, like, I would also agree, even being like a veteran player, I'm terrible, but I've played for a while. Even knowing most of the rules, like I would agree that a lot of them could just afford to be trimmed and just simplified without losing a lot of rules, like without losing gameplay depth. Mm-hmm. And I agree that's good in every case, because it makes tournaments run smoother, it makes new players like the game more, it makes me happy for some reason.
Less arguments, I mean, amongst veteran players.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. And I totally agree. I would rather win the game off of like brilliant strategic maneuvers than like ha 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 you suck.
You didn't know that was coming. Yeah, like my two lists currently that I run are P-Morgul and Xerxes, and P-Morgul list isn't that weird, except everyone forgets that it is like the threat ranges are stupid long. I don't kill anything. So like Moloch Karn is a 17-inch threat before sidesteps. And people will still put like the thing. I'm like, you just like I told you I'll keep telling people, even like I told you 3 or 4 times. I now killed that beast, and then feet you can't do it. Well, then feet you can't respond. Next turn, Moloch Karn's already in your face. He just kills 2 more. I win the game.
Yeah.
Like there'll be a lot of times where I in tournaments I'll be like, okay, this is right when I started off. I'm like, okay, this is what this guy can do. This is what this guy can do. And then I'll move up here and like, this guy has this much threat. And then people ask me, I'll keep telling them, and I'll still get it wrong. So I don't. I'm trying to be as communicative as possible and let them know the information, but it's so hard to keep track of so many different, like, because that list is so many gotchas.
Yeah.
And then my Xerxes list is Drake spam, and people just look at me like,
what?
How do I play against that list? And they'll be like, okay, I'll stay further back. People will stay further back, and I'll be okay, I just win because I win this, I dominate both zones, or I dominate one zone and control the other, it sucks to be you. Or they'll come really far forward, I'll just kill all with sprays on feet turn, and I'll be like, people just don't know how to play against the list.
Yeah. And, like, I totally agree. Although, that brings up something else that I'm kind of have sort of on my wish list. And this is really a weird topic for me to discuss, because I don't know which way I'd rather go. I don't know that I like the, like, feet and I win the game. Or feet and you can't do anything, so I win the game. Mm. Like, I feel like feet and I kill a bunch of your stuff is pretty fair. I feel like feet and I win the game is a little bit too far.
Like, you want the feat to be really interesting and cool and do something that feels impactful, but it doesn't necessarily need to be the thing that immediately wins you the game.
Yeah, well, and also I feel like you shouldn't be able to win the game on just your feet alone. Like, I feel like something like
some casters can do.
Like Butcher 1 feat, I feel is pretty fair, even though you can win the game off the back of it, because it's like all of your damage rolls are boosted, right?
It was like Epic Denny P-nerf or pre-nerf.
I mean, well, that was only really ridiculous if you got it off like the top of turn 2 and she was really far ahead.
Yeah.
And again, like that, yes, it was great.
But that's the thing is, so if you play against that,
that's another gotcha. That's another gotcha.
If you know it's coming, okay, that's one thing. But it feels something.
Okay, so let me maybe refine that then. I'm cool with feats being like I win the game because I use this feat. If it's on like turn 4, like turn 3 or turn 4, like if it's like if it's timed properly, it wins you the game. As long as timed properly doesn't mean like, hey, I did this at the start of my first turn, by the way, I win. But like, I feel like feats should be like the turning point of games, but I also feel like they shouldn't just win you the game automatically without doing other stuff properly.
Okay, fair enough.
And I don't know if that's a problem with the game right now. I mean, certain casters might be outliers. Like they had to fucking nerf that MKIII's feat because it was stupid and the most annoying shit ever to play around.
Fair enough.
Fuck that. Thank you for nerfing.
Not disappointed. Still hiring.
Yeah, exactly.
So how about, so for you...
Most of the stuff I have on my wish list for what I want the game to be has been said already. But there's a bunch of things that I wish they had done that it's now too late to fix. I like the idea of the game had been around, built around the idea of very limited selection of FA1 models a lot. But now that it's been FA2 for 10 years, you've got 2 units of it. That's such a dick move to get rid of it. I think it shouldn't do that. I wish Colossals had either been FA1 or character, but now so many people own 2 of 1.
Well,
that
I actually I think that the Colossal problem is less. I mean, yes.
I think with the update now, they're so much more expensive. I think that helps.
I hope they're 40 points in a 70-point game. I mean,
but
yeah.
Well, it's still going to be 100 points.
I wish they had beat characters all along.
So you can't possibly take more than one.
Especially now there's 2, so you can have one on one list and one on the other, or both on one list. But there's a lot of times you'd be both your lists.
They could have a rule that
if they'd done that all along.
No,
and changing it to that now would be a huge problem.
I don't know if it would be a huge
I
problem.
don't know if it would be a huge problem on a Colossus level because there's also a lot of people who don't have a Colossus.
Yeah, but it's something
there's going to be an aftermarket.
And bringing new players in now, especially, it's going to be easier. If they're hey, yeah, you can only use one of each Colossal now. Or actually, I think the rule would be a better rule would be you can only have one Colossal in your list for every 100 points of army you have. Because if it was character, then you could still potentially take both of them in the same list.
So here's the thing. So the notice here says, huge base models have been rebalanced to be true centerpieces of your army. An example given is blah. To me...
Well, okay, hang on. Let's take this specifically. So they say you have a Juggernaut, 4 times the cost of a Juggernaut.
Example is that the Conquest is 4 times the cost of a Juggernaut, but feels 4 times as
Okay, let's do the math here. Juggernaut's 7 points, so 7 points becomes, let's say, 12, because it's not quite double.
Yeah.
So 12, so it's 48 points.
Yeah, you're not
roughly.
2.
You technically could have 2.
I guess if it's...
But you'd be super fucked for, space
everything
control.
else, yeah.
But that's kind of already how it is.
Well, it is, but it isn't. Well, yeah, no, it is. You're right.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Now, to me...
Unless you're playing Hit 2's Devil's Normal.
So here's the thing, though. To me...
You're playing Hit 2, though.
Huge base models have been rebalanced to be true centerpieces of your army. To me, that suggests, and this is my interpretation of it, that will only involve 1.
Yeah.
That you will not be running multiples. And I think that maybe they do go the route of that, because I think, I know that the game's not going to line up to the fluff 100%, but the fact that, already Warjacks are pretty rare. Colossals are exceptionally rare.
Yeah.
Having multiple Colossals in games that aren't, army on army, kind of ridiculous scale.
Unleashed.
The interesting thing about that is they don't say Colossals and Gargantuans have been rebalanced to be true centerpieces.
No, they say huge
They
base.
say huge base models, which means
Battle engines might be ridiculous.
Battle engines might actually be a thing.
So that goes to one of the things I want to see.
That's cool because there's some really cool models.
Is I want to see battle engines be better than just I want to see them be different and be interesting again. The problem with them right now is they're basically the same cost as a Warjack, but with none of the good things.
Yeah, although, even after the buff to the CJ Mantrax, it's why would I take that instead of Titan?
Now, 2 things. In fairness, inherently, Horde's battle engines are worse than War Machine battle engines because in Hordes you want an extra beast.
Yes.
In War Machine you don't want an extra jack right now. But so that's one thing. The other thing is fuck, I just forgot. Great. It'll come back to me. But you don't want to take an Animatrax because you would rather have a heavy in every circumstance.
Well, the thing is
sorry. I remembered the second thing. Some of the battle engines are just fucking lame. Seriously, the Trollblood and Kildar, they got the shaft. We have a fucking truck with horses.
Well, the thing is, for Legion, the Legion battle engine looks cool. I think.
Yeah.
I like the typical monster. Cool as different. But then the rules do not align with how cool it looks.
It's just not a war beast, unfortunately.
You're just oh, this could have totally been something I'd use, except I'm not going to buy the model because I would just rather run anything else.
You know what I would like them to do with battle engines is have the battle engines... So, you hear the name battle engine, right? And to me, it sort of makes me think about, something that affects the battlefield in a larger way. So
Right.
I would love to see a battle engines do things that are like unique to them. Like as in like they're huge base models, but their main effect on the game isn't like direct application of force. They do things.
You know, it'd be cool. Okay, and then I mean, what if because it doesn't exist in the game? What if the battle engines that are like vehicles? So let's say the troll one, for example, could transport models.
Sure, that's something that they
thing.
could totally do. Like, what if the Storm Strider, like, okay, the Storm Strider is already actually pretty cool. But, like, what if, like, the Ret battle engine and the Circle battle engine were, like, almost alternate win conditions on their own? Like, what if they did something that was so good over the course of multiple turns that it would basically win you the game, but your opponent has measures to stop that? Like,
Force
like,
focus fire on it.
yeah, like, say like, the Circle one is, like, every turn it generates, like, a power token or something, and every turn that it's taken damage, you remove one, but if it ever gets to like 5 or like 3 power tokens or something, it just fucking like goes baller crazy and like wrecks shit. So it's something that like forces, or like the Legion one can be sort of the same deal, like, you know, like it starts doing some weird tentacly stuff that's cool. I had an idea for this, and it slipped away from me.
With the Legion one, I mean, you can do it in one of two ways. You can either make it the big tentacle monster kills things, or you can make it the focus being on the sorcerer on top. So like maybe they've channeled energy, and like as the game continues, they've got like lightning coming down or something cool.
Sure, but like I would like to see them focus that into the tentacle monster thing too. Like I'd say like you start feeding it dudes. And then as it gets the dudes, it gets like I know it already has the corpse token mechanics.
Like with the troll one, I mean specifically, like the idea for me, maybe you can't keep the models in the vehicle, but like imagine if you could start the vehicle, you have your infantry unit embarked or whatever, it moves, they jump out, they can then move. Like that gives you additional range on units.
Exactly, yeah. Like and that would be a cool thing that they do by themselves that like kind of makes sense for them being stupid vehicle bullshit.
Exactly.
And like, you could have the Siege Animatrix just actually be a war beast. Because it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, and then it wouldn't be total garbage. Like, and then it would have like its independent shooty gun shit on top and whatever.
And I mean, that's the thing, like, I'd like to see them do something more. So that's on my wish list. It's definitely...
That would be really cool. And the thing is, you could make them proportionally expensive, too. Like, if you made them do stuff like that, you could make them like 40-point models. Who fucking cares? Because then they still would be the centerpiece of your army. And you couldn't realistically take one with a Colossal, because the Colossal wouldn't do enough to protect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
one big wish I have, please make the Rhinodon good. Speaking about Kaya making her good, please make the Rhinodon awesome.
I think making, I mean,
the Rhinodon looks
make everything
so
cool.
amazing.
Like, they've got the
chance to
clean
rebalance
slate.
everything.
They can basically make
That's what I'm
everything
most excited
cool.
for.
I really would like to just see everything worth taking.
So I mean, I agree. I think balance across the board is important, and probably one of the pinnacle things as far as the edition goes. Other than that, as far as I'm concerned, the things that I'd like to see, and this isn't necessarily like a limitation on Mark III stuff, but I want to say it just so it's been said, is that I want to see a more of a progression into sprue plastic kits. And I want to see that for both War Machine and Hordes. I realize that there are technical issues or difficulties in producing a Hordes kit, but I mean, really, it can be done. It can be done.
It can be done. It's just different. Like they're reasoning for not like.
Well, the thing is, like, the plastic still... I mean, okay, it's the plastic kits, cool. The ones that exist already. But the old plastic, restic kind of bullshit...
Yeah,
that turns people off of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't matter how good the game is, if you can't get somebody to build the models, you're done.
I built so many of these fucking models, and, like, it's just the mold lines and the quality of the plastic just... like, it's awful.
And
Restic is garbage.
And that's the thing.
Magic, if you're listening, Restic is garbage.
Coming from a place where we all really love the game, except for maybe Dan.
I actually think it's a great game. I just fully acknowledge that it requires more time than I'm able to allocate to being even halfway decent at it.
So I want to see that. I think I want more list building opportunities. I want there to be less specific kind of skew list. So like
I dislike skew lists on this chicken.
Exactly, because like you look at the Baldur list, and I mean it's a great.
It's not Baldur.
Bradigus. Sorry, you look at Bradigus, and it's a great list. It works really well together. But let's pretend that that's what you went and got. How the fuck are you going to use those models with most of the other Warcasters? You don't.
Well, in fairness, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 models.
But you know what I mean, right? Like the fact
But
that you
yeah,
have
no,
you have
I
models that you
agree.
can't just translate to the rest of your
That's why
collection.
I haven't picked up Fist of the Lock.
Yeah, well, although like
I picked up a unit of Arctu REI and a unit of Incendiary, and I love them. But I would not want to pick up more of them.
But like Citrati, like you can play Fist of the Lock with like Citrati, Arctu, like you can play with one of each.
Yeah, but
I don't know if that's optimal.
it's definitely not.
But that's the thing. It's like I don't.
But it's doable.
I mean, I understand that like with tier lists and theme lists and stuff that like incentivizing people to run, more specific things, that's fine. But like the fact that some stuff is just strictly worse with the rest of your collection is a shitty feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm of two minds. Like, 'cause I think I do agree that it's not optimal, but I also agree that sometimes playing with like a bunch of like themed stuff is really cool. So
I agree.
In my mind, there's not really a good solution to that, because like it is really cool to have like I'm gonna play this Bradley's list with. I mean, if it's fun to play and not broken as shit. I mean, if it's broken as shit, I mean, it might be fun to play for a little while, but like crushing everyone with an overpowered list.
Well,
is
yeah,
not
that's
great.
true.
But like, I don't actually mind if like if as long as that Bradigus list is legal forever, even if it's a little bit weaker, like. If that's what you want to do, if that's your jam, you should be able to do it. Like,
The thing, okay, so to me, the thing is that, again, one of the big things that I really enjoyed, and one of the big things that sold me on the game was the idea that of having different experiences with a pool of models by primarily caster swapping.
Yeah, no, and like I agree. The thing is that's true in most cases. You're talking about outliners here. You're talking about like that.
I feel like that is progressed.
reduced.
I feel like that's just because they're too strong, though. Like I feel like because the thing is that there's always been stupid bullshit lists. Like I think the Butcher Doomriggers spam list has existed since the KOR book came out.
Yes.
Like it's just they become the skew becomes too strong, and I think that's partly because you have multiple lists in tournaments and then you have that list chicken scenario. I think it makes more sense to have like a one list with specialists option.
Yeah.
Because then you have to mostly take all comers in your list. You can look at your opponent's list and see like, do I need to bring in any specialists for any of his stuff? And then there's still sort of like a chicken, like a bluffing game, because like he could switch out the things that you're bringing stuff in for, but you run that risk, and it's not like you don't. It's only like a 15-point difference or whatever, so you don't go like, okay, I just brought the wrong list and I lose.
I think I agree. I agree with the tournament format being a little fucky with the multiple lists. I do think that that's a better look at it in terms of having like a list and a sideboard.
Yeah.
Because then you really have to think about things you need to take that will give you options against other things. So,
yeah, you need that.
So
Like when you have to build a attack list, like it forces you to consider things that you wouldn't necessarily otherwise consider in that list. Like, instead of having to build, like, your list, and, like, you can do this list for the Alpha Strike, and just, like, do that every time, because you have this other attrition list.
The only other thing that I can think of that I really want to change, and I imagine, like, they're taking steps to do it, so we'll see how it shakes out, is I want the issue of War Machine and Warcasters really only wanting to run one jack. Like, I want more options in terms of like strong.
I agree, and I think
that's what they're trying to advertise right now, anyways. So
totally
it'll
agree.
just be interesting to see how that.
So
gets
the
implemented.
thing is, to me, the question is, well, okay, it's cool to get the extra free focus, but is it still how efficient?
But there's also been some talk in different areas where it's saying that jacks are going to be better too, right? That there's actually going to be reasons to take them and such.
Fair.
So that's actually apparently in the pipeline. It's just a matter of now wait and see to see how it gets
Well, and I
implemented.
mean, we don't have all of the information. It's just
Yeah,
that's on my
exactly.
list. That's
Yeah.
on my bucket.
That's the thing I'm most excited about, the rebalance of the game.
So
That's the biggest
definitely.
thing.
I just want to touch on that again, like the power boost rule. Even though, like, and I was skeptical at first too, like, you're only getting the one extra focus on each warjack, right? So that's basically just letting you run them for the first few turns of the game. But what I said before is, like, you don't actually need to fully power all of your warjacks on a given turn for them to be successful. The reason that it's more important that you can guaranteed run every warjack for the first few turns if there's in your control area is because then they can be in a position that all of them are threatening. Instead of having to dole out focus to them and your Warcaster only has like 3 focus to work with, you can have them all be in a position where a fully loaded jack there will apply pressure. will apply force in a position like you have. Then you make your opponent react to in all of those situations, not just hey, these are the 2 warjacks that are up in front, and these other ones are fucked off doing nothing because they couldn't run, or because I had to pick Kodiaks because I could always run,
Yeah, fair
like
enough.
stuff like that. So just being able to maneuver them properly is great. The other thing is you only need to give them 2 focus instead of 3 to fully power them because they get the first one free.
Yeah.
Things like that make like Nemo 3, I think it is, where you give them 1 focus and it doubles to 2. Then Nemo's powering every warjack fully, well, assuming it was still 3 focus, for 1 focus per jack.
And I think that that's like a really good approach. I just I just hope that that's. I hope the idealized version of that is the reality of it.
Yeah, I hope that there are like that running multiple warjacks is a viable strategy. I also hope that in certain situations running 1 warjack is still the viable strategy.
I don't think it will be because you have so many warjack points.
Dude, we're colossal.
Okay, fair. But I think that
I'm not saying you do it with anything other than a colossal. Maybe you do with like a big character jack or something.
Like behemoth or something you can make.
So I thanks for coming out actually, and doing this, especially like because for those of you that may not be aware, it's 3 a.m. now. We are
geniuses of time management.
Exactly.
Hey, I was at a fucking nerdy burlesque show. Okay,
It was definitely the better choice.
speak for yourselves.
But I think that there's just, a lot of it's going to be, we do have some confirmed details. A lot of it's going to be speculation, and a lot of it's kind of like, well, we hope this is the direction they're taking the game. And I think that they have, I'm sure that they're in tune with kind of what the community is looking for. I also understand that A, it's a business, and B, you only have so much opportunity to change things and play test it and make it work. So the reality of it will be different than what I think the idealized version is, but hopefully it's close. Like, I'm hoping that it's nearby.
Seriously though, Manowar, OP as fuck, please. Broken, garbage, fucking ridiculous broken.
Thank you.